What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how D1 wide receivers run routes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at two specific examples here of incorrect ways to run routes, and then we're going to compare them to some higher level wide receivers and the correct way to run those types of routes. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it kind of gives you a comparison between the two. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want over 200 plus drills that you can do to improve your route running, your press releases, your hands, all aspects of the wide receiver position, check out that very first link in the description below for our 8-week wide receiver on-field workout plan. It's over 200 plus drills, all broken down into a daily schedule with sets, reps, and video examples of each drill. So I hope you guys can check that out. Very first link below. Let's get started. So this first route here is going to be a post route. Now, obviously lined up lined up here, we got this DB who's lined up inside shade, right? So we have to run a post route, and one of the main things that you see a lot of lower level wide receivers do is that they will force their release. So I'm going to play this thing full speed and then we will break it down. So this wide receiver runs this post route, or it's a post corner, excuse me, but it could be the same thing as a post because that's the first initial break. So let's talk about why, like, some people might think this is a good route, some people might think it's a good play, but the reality of the situation is in a real game, you got to make sure that when you're training, when it's t-shirt and shorts, doing one-on-one, 7-on-7, you make it realistic, right? And one-on-ones, spacing doesn't matter. But in a real game, when you get the pads on, it absolutely matters. So when you have an inside shade guy, what's he not trying to give up? He's not trying to give up the inside. And this DB actually played this thing not the greatest, and the spacing was still off. So when he came off the line here, he took the inside release. But look at how far wide. He started over here. He ended up maybe about 5-6 yards, almost on the hash mark from the outside receiver spot. That cannot happen in a real game because when you force a release that far inside, maybe there's a safety there. Maybe there's a linebacker there who could end up guarding you, and he could end up guarding another route that could be going into that zone as well. Now, it's post corner, so maybe it works. But because he got rerouted all the way to the inside of the field, the spacing is off. And when the spacing is off, that means the timing is off. A quarterback needs you to be in a specific spot at a specific time. So a lot of young wide receivers don't do this. They think that, I got to take an inside release no matter what, if it's a post corner or if it's a post or if it's any kind of inside breaking route. We cannot do that, right? You got to make sure that you take what the DB gives you so we could get a free release. And by free release, I mean keeping the timing with the quarterback, and I have spacing to react. That is how a wide receiver at the next level, that D1 level, will run their routes. And that's what we're going to play here in a second. So let's rewind this. Now, again, fellas, just make sure, not a horrible route, but the spacing was horrible, and the spacing is what's going to screw up the entire play concept when we get the pads on. So I'm going to play this full speed again. Just cannot get rerouted that far inside, fellas. It is just not a realistic situation. We have to make sure that we train realistic. So now, this situation here, this is going to be just a straight up corner route. Now, it's very similar. It's the exact same situation, just a different kind of leverage. So let's explain it. So we got a DB who's lined up outside shade and press, right? So if he's outside shade and press, what is he trying to take away? He's trying to take away the outside. Very similar to when he was lined up inside shade and press. He didn't want to give up the inside, so we should have taken the outside release on the last example. So on this one, no different. He's lined up outside shade. What release should we take? We should take an inside release because that's what he's giving me. He has to run a corner. So if you're running a corner, a lot of people think that automatically you have to take the outside release. But if you force the release wide, like the last receiver did, this DB could get hands. He could squeeze you all the way to that sideline, and your QB doesn't have any space to throw you open. So we have to make sure that we keep spacing and we keep timing. So what this receiver does, he decides to go with this like split release, right? Where he kind of threatens the DB outside, little head fake. Honestly, he probably could sell this move a little bit more. I'm going to play this thing full speed, actually. I know you guys like that a little bit better when I play it full speed. So he gives a little head fake, takes the inside release, works to restack, gives him a move, but look at the amount of space that he has to the sideline for the QB to throw him open. And he's off the ball pretty dang quick. From a quarterback perspective, what they always complain about or talk about is when a wide receiver takes too long to get off a press. Hey, you can't do that many moves. Hey, you got to pick a move and you got to go. And they hold the ball, and then they eventually move on, or they maybe don't go back to you because you can't get off the press because you're trying to do too much. Take what he gives you and keep that timing. So he gives him this fake. Honestly, all we got to do is just keep him honest. He could probably sell it a little more like I was saying before, but a little head fake, maybe a little step to the outside, maybe he steps a little bit wider at his leverage. I just need to keep him there. I need to keep him honest. I need to threaten him with the outside release because that's where he doesn't want me to go. On that post corner that we looked at, what he probably should have done is he probably should have lined up inside shade, attacked him inside, held him inside, then take the outside release and work to restack afterwards. So when you're playing at that D1 level, that's what these coaches look for, fellas. They're not into the flashy, take 5 seconds off the line releases. They're into the guys who could play efficiently, fit into their offense, get off of press, make plays happen downfield. But at the end of the day, they have to play fast. You have to have that IQ to play fast, and that comes from knowing and understanding a DB's leverage. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great example of a wide receiver just keeping what he gives, or taking what the DB gives him, restacking, and giving himself plenty of spacing on the play to win the route. Okay, so now, one of the things that you've heard, Alabama, one of those schools that constantly has great receivers, right? Julio Jones, Mark Cooper, Jerry Jeudy's coming out of there, all the receivers that came out of the draft this year, last year. Elite guys play there, elite wide receivers. And there's a classic interview of Nick Saban, them asking him, hey, what do you look for in a wide receiver when you guys are recruiting him? Like, what are some of the main things? And he looks for smoothness in and smoothness out of the break. So how smooth are you getting into the break? Can you self-fade? Can you drop on a dime? And how quick can you get out of the break? Can you get out of the break smooth? And what he means by that is not taking choppy steps or preparing for it. So to play at that highest level possible, that's what they look for in wide receivers. How smooth is he running his routes? So this is another example of a wide receiver not necessarily getting into a break that smooth. It's not a horrible route, but leading up to the break, this is not what they would want to see from you at that Division I level. So let's play this thing full speed. So he comes off the ball, takes the outside release, a little choppy, then snaps this thing down. And yeah, we got the DB to bite. Yeah, we got some separation. Everybody's going to go crazy. But when I'm leading up into this route and I got a disciplined DB, if I start to run and my strides start to get real choppy like this, like I'm preparing for the break point, that DB should be slowing himself down. His eyes are very high. He's looking at his eyes. He's thinking fade. But really, he should be reading hips and he should be reading the speed of that wide receiver. And again, I know there's probably more technical aspects to that. I'm not a DB guy, but he's not supposed to be looking high. I know that. And when you're running up a route and it's a disciplined guy, as soon as he feels your feet start to chop, what is he not thinking? He's not thinking you're running a fade. You got to have that smoothness, as we said, into the break. I got to be able to maintain full stride. I got to be able to maintain full speed and then be able to drop on a dime. So that's the next example that we're going to look at. So I'm going to play this thing full speed. I know it's a little tough to see because this guy gets in the way. That's why I wanted to break it down. But those choppy steps, and let's talk about how deep of a route this is. That's 5, 10. He starts chopping down at 10. He breaks this thing off at 15, right? We can't chop for 5 yards. We got to go hard to 15 yards and drop on a dime, right? So let's play this thing again, full speed. Make sure, fellas, just got to be smooth into the break. Cannot chop the steps, cannot slow myself down to prepare for it. So now, next example, this is going to be a curl route. So it's the same scenario, same type of 45-degree break. But again, he's coming back to the ball instead of running a comeback, obviously. So let's talk about it. So the main thing, this is Van Jefferson. Obviously played elite, high-level college football, University of Florida. Plays in the NFL, plays for the Rams. When he runs this route, there is no change of stride. It is a hip drop that gets him in and out of the break, and this is what they are looking for, fellas, at that next level. Especially, guys, if you're not the fastest, if you're not the biggest, you don't pass the eye test, you better run good routes. You better, because again, in today's recruiting world of, camps, showcases, college camps, people only caring about your speed, your 40, your size. That's what everybody likes to say, at least. On film, the film don't lie. If you can run good routes, you can create separation, that's going to catch somebody's eye, right? Maybe it's not, you don't have the typical, 5-star started 4 years in high school route, but maybe you go to a JUCO. Maybe somebody notices you there. Maybe you get noticed in their last year of high school. All it takes is one school to believe in you and trust in you. And you got to be able to have these tools in your tool belt to make up for the lack of speed, size, and those things that college coaches love to publicize. Or not even necessarily college coaches, but these recruiters, if you will. So let's play this thing full speed. Great job by Jefferson dropping into this break. And again, he's maybe not taking the least amount of steps, but leading up into the break, he is selling vertical. There is not a change in his speed. There is not a change in his stride. He is able to drop his hips right in stride. That is what it takes to get separation, fellas. Immediately off the line. He's selling vertical. He's got a good pad level. He's running hard. He's running in full stride, and it's just a hip drop. He's just snapping down right on a dime because he had no indicator. This DB thought fade the entire time, and look where he is watching. He's watching hips. Not like the other guy who was looking at the eyes. He's watching hips. So when he sees those hips level change, he's got a level change. But there was no prior indication that he was going to make that break. That is how you run routes. That is what they look for at the next level. Let the hip drop be the thing that slows you down. Be violent with the hip drop, and that is what will create energy to shoot you back to that ball and make a tighter cut. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver pushing. Van Jefferson pushing vertical, snapping this thing right off, and then winning on this catch. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys got any value of this, please don't hesitate to leave any questions possibly that you might have in the comments section below. We always appreciate the feedback. Always good to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like an 8-week wide receiver on-field workout plan, 200+ wide receiver drills with sets, reps, and video examples of each drill, check out that very first link in the description below. See you guys next time.